Hello and welcome to a new video for quite a long time. And today I would like to give you an overview of our GraphQL API because in the last couple of weeks we found out that actually a lot of you have been using the GraphQL API. We added some new documentation for that, and I want to show you in this video what GraphQL can do for you and what's it all about. So everything that you see on Datacake in the front end is communicating over an API with the backend. For this, we are using GraphQL. So GraphQL basically is an API, which is very powerful because you can write your own queries. Traditional APIs have like endpoints, and we define dynamic endpoints. So I've created a GraphQL demo account here. It's just a basic workspace with a couple of devices in it, but they are just like fake devices. There's no physical device, but we are receiving random data here, and we've got them in the workspace. We've got this GraphQL Explorer on our API. So api.datacake.co/GraphQL gets you to this kind of view here. So the first thing that we need to do for GraphQL is provide a token. You could use your own token, which you can access here in the profile settings, but we recommend you create a custom token for that workspace. We go into the members section, and here we find the API users. We go into that and create a new API users. We call that GraphQL token. And yeah, we simply select the rights and roles that we want to have, like these things that we can query from the GraphQL. We also apply rules for all the permissions for all devices here in that workspace. Press on space. This will create a new token. We can copy that here, going to delete that afterwards, and paste it here in the API. So this is now all set. What you can do now is GraphQL can do two things: query, so for querying data from our backend, and mutations. Mutations is when you do like actions on Datacake, so creating a device, calling a downlink function, stuff like that. Right now, we are going to create our first query. The coolest thing about that here is that it's somehow like a small integrated development environment. It has auto-completion, stuff like that. So we start with query, and then let's take a list of all workspaces, for example. You can enter all, and you can see the options that are available. We want all workspaces, we press enter, and the next thing is that we do another quote here, and now we need to define some things that we want, or the queries that we want, the informations for that workspaces. The coolest thing about the GraphQL is that it has an integrated documentation, so you can command click on all workspaces, and it will bring up this workspace type. You click on that, and you see the things that are available for that workspace. So okay, it's ID and name, so we put in ID, next line, name. Now we can run the query directly in the GraphQL, and this will start the query directly on our API backend, and it will bring up a list of all available workspaces or the workspaces that this token is linked to. So in this example, the token is only linked to a single workspace, but if you would have a token or a user that's in many workspaces, it will bring up the list of, so you can use a personal workspace, a personal token for that user, and it will bring up a complete list of that, of all workspaces. There's even more. When you go into all devices, this will create a query that will bring up all devices linked to that token. Once more, here is ID and its verbose name. You can see all available options by option clicking on all devices. You can see the things that its device type, and see the things that are available. There is like serial number. I want to have the text, please. And yeah, we can also I think we need to define the tags. No, we don't need to. Sorry for that. And if I run the query once more, I see all devices here in my workspace, which are those temperature sensors here, and also the tags and the serial number and the verbose name directly into that query. I could take it even further, and with that query, I want to, let's say we want a list of the current measurement values. So we can give us the current measurements. We need to provide an option. The option is all active fields to get all fields that are actively receiving data right now. And we want to have the ID, the value of that field, and also the field identifier, which gives us the field name. So we run that query, and it takes a few seconds or just half a second, something like that. Depends on how many devices you have. But we can now see we have the device for that, the ID for that device, its verbose name, the serial number, the tags, and the temperature, which is 23, the humidity, the battery level, the signal, and so on. The GraphQL API is even more powerful. That was just a basic example, but yeah, right now we are getting a list of the devices and its current measurements. You could sort out the measurements, query just an existing field. And also on all devices, you can see the device type. There are different things available which you can query. For example, like if it's a cellular device, you can also query the cellular RSSI, but also there's the history. So you can get historical data from a time range and the resolution. Also, there is the option to get maximum and minimum values directly. We've combined this in a documentation. And there's like a small GraphQL programming guide, also some examples how you can use curl to query GraphQL using the HTTP, basic HTTP requests. There's this Apollo iOS library, which you can use, and also a Node-RED example. We've brought together some examples of how you can query all devices with the measurements, but also like specific devices, working with strings, maximum, minimum, and average, and of course the historical data. Also with GraphQL, instead of just querying stuff, you can write mutations. And in mutations, there is create rules, create reports, create LoRa devices, stuff like that. So basically, everything that you do on the front end and that you see on the front end, even the configuration, everything, every single operation is using the GraphQL API. So that means that everything that you can do here can be done using the GraphQL API and by a third-party platform, application, whatever. So this is the GraphQL API. If you have some specific question, please reach out to us and we will be happy to answer your questions. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.